Hi, I'm Stuart Ward from Nourishing Moves and welcome to my How to Use Indian Clubs video tutorial series. So this is lesson 3 and I want to use this lesson to talk about how we warm up before using Indian clubs. I don't want this to be an exhausted list because there's so many different exercises that we can use to oil the joints and prepare to swing Indian clubs. But I do want to cover it in enough detail that not only are we preparing to swing the clubs, we're also looking just to improve our joint mobility and flexibility so we can swing the clubs with greater freedom in the body and with more articulation and control. So when someone first comes to me looking to swing Indian clubs, I tend to focus on the warm-up a fair bit to start with, and that gives good preparation for later on. As people become more experienced with club swinging, the warm-up can sometimes decrease, as the body's often good to go much sooner. So let's start with exercise 1. We'll begin with these wrist circles. So the wrists are used a lot in club swinging, as I already showed you in lesson 1 with the hammer grip and the saber grip and the wiper switch. There's a lot of wrist movement here, so it's nice to oil the joint up. Here I recommend keeping the elbows quite close together. If you take the elbows too far apart, you won't get the movement in the wrist. So bring the elbows in, and then you can get a nice full range of movement in the wrist joint. And it's a good idea to go both ways. Repetitions don't really matter here. I mean, as a guide, roughly 10 each way, but just what feels good in the body. And then from here we can move into this wrist wave. So we're rippling through the fingers, so it's working the fingers out, working the wrists out. The hands go down towards the belly button and up towards the chin. And once we've gone one way, we can challenge the brain by going the other way. And you can see why this is called the wrist wave. The next movement's a trickier one, but well worth practicing, these arm circles. So we're going to stand with the hands out in front of us, turn those hands to fists, and we spiral the arms into the lower rib area here, and then the arms spiral round back to the start. So you're drilling in and rolling round to the front. So there's this lovely continuous spiral movement happening in the arms here. And it helps to get all the tissue, the muscles and that fascial tissue, the tendons and the ligaments, working in this spiral way, ready to start swinging these circular patterns with the clubs. You can really start to feel the whole upper body get involved with this, how the chest opens, the shoulders come together, and then the spiral happens through the arm and the shoulder. So now we're ready to work on a bit more of a stretch. So we're going to work on this Egyptian stretch. So one palm faces up, the other palm also faces up, but with a twisted arm. And then we're rolling and twisting through the shoulder joint, projecting through to the fingertips. What I'll sometimes say with this movement here is, once you feel you've gone as far as you can, go that little bit further, because you always can. Really getting into that joint capsule to loosen the joint, so you can swing those clubs with more freedom. What tends to happen here is we get lost in the Egyptian idea and the body might move too much. So it's nice to move the body a little bit, but try to keep the focus on the rotation between the two arms. As if you're wringing out a dishcloth, for instance. That's the idea here that you really want to focus on. And now we focus on this chest opener so we can get the shoulder blades moving a bit more. So we take the hands forwards, turn the hands to fists, we pull back for these 3 springy beats, let the palms face up, and then open again. So we count 1, 2, 3, let the palms face up, open 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And a gentle bounce gives like a soft, springy feeling and an openness to the upper body, which again we need to help us swing clubs well. 1, 2, 3, and then count 1, 2, 3. So we do another round. And then we want to start moving through the T-spine. We want to start twisting through the spine. So we do this little spine twist. We'll keep the arms nice and relaxed. In this instance, I'm looking to keep the pelvis fairly still. There'll be a little bit of movement there, just because I don't want to keep it rigid. But the main part of the movement is coming through the upper back, or the T-spine. I'm focusing on the sternum, this breastbone twisting one way, then the other way. What you can imagine is, as your sternum goes one way, picture your belly button moving in the opposite direction. And that's a good way to help keep the pelvis still, so you can start focusing on freeing up the upper back. If you let the hips twist or the pelvis twist as well, that's something different. You're not getting the twist through your spine then. And it's nice to keep the arms as relaxed as I am here, because it helps keep the tension out of the upper body, allows the arms to move freely. Okay, and then from here we want to loosen the waist a little bit so the hands come behind the back, and we make these hip circles. I think of this like a lower back massage. So as your hips go forwards, you gently lean your upper body backwards, and as your hips go backwards, your body gently leans forwards. I've got a reasonably wide stance, just a little wider than shoulder width, so I've got a good base to move from. If your feet are too close, it'll feel really awkward and clumsy. So just adjust your feet as you need to. And then we would go both ways, so we'll change direction. And just enjoy that back massage. So as you might remember from lesson 2, we spoke about that Y position, and it takes quite a lot of flexibility through the shoulders and the upper back. So this is one way we can help to release that area a little. I call it the rock and roll. We interlace the fingers together, step 1 foot forwards. As you breathe in, you roll up off your back heel, and the palms turn so they face up towards the sky or the ceiling. And then you roll back. Breathing in to lift and stretch up, breathing out to roll back. And just as with that Y position, try not to just arch in your lower back like this. That's not what we're looking for. You're trying to lift up from the chest, from the sternum, stretch up, and then roll back. So it's your upper back which is getting the benefit here. Breathing in to come up, breathing out to roll back. I tend to do somewhere between 5 and 8 on one side, and I'll change so the other foot's forwards, and then rolling up so the back heel comes up. It gives the idea of length and lift, and then rolling back. Breathing in, breathing out. When you breathe in here, it makes sense, because as your arms lift, your rib cage can expand more. If your rib cage is expanded, your lungs can expand more. Inflate the body and then deflate. Okay, and then just to tune your body up into the upper body, we can do these angel arms. So with our feet roughly shoulder width apart, hands by your side, take a deep breath in. And again, expand the rib cage, let the palms come together for this stretch, then you turn the palms away, and as if pushing your hands through the water, your hands come back by your side. Breathe in, allow the rib cage to expand, stretch the head up, palms come together, turn the palms to face away, and you push the hands down through the water. And as if you were pushing down through the water, it gives a feeling of lift and length through your spine. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, turn the palms, drop the shoulders, feel the scapula glide down your back, so there's that softness in the shoulders as well. We don't get looser and more flexible in the body by forcing stretches. You get looser and more flexible by allowing the body to become more comfortable, learning to let go and relax into these stretches. And we make this next one the last one. And the next few movements, the next few warm-up drills, we'll use the clubs for. So we'll start with one club, remembering our grip, so the ring fingers resting by the pommel. And we're going to work on this around the world exercise. Here, imagine that the tip of the club weighs a lot heavier than it does, like there's a weight attached to it, so it won't ever lift up. So as the club circles around your body, the tip of the club stays facing the floor as much as possible. And this is quite a challenging drill. It's really working into your wrists, elbows and shoulders, as you can see. And they'll feel there'll be like sticky spots in this movement for you. There'll be bits where it feels quite uncomfortable, but as long as it's not sharp pain, as long as you're working within your own limits, you can begin to build your mobility. And I think it's a good idea to go both ways. So once you've gone inside, this would be around the world, outside of the body. Now we want the club to move around the body. not the body moving around the club. So try to avoid all the kind of cheating that will want to happen. So we think about a length through the body, allow the movement to come with a still, stable structure. Yeah, and sort of 5 to 8 each side is a good idea. You may want to do more. I wouldn't do less than 5. It takes time to get into the groove of this movement. And then we can change. So holding the club correctly from lesson 1, inside movement going around the world. You're looking to keep the tip of the club close to the floor here. Let the hand drop far down the neck, keeping that club close to your body. And after your 5 or so, you may want to change direction. Take the club away from the body and around. Another cheat to avoid would be holding the club too loosely. So try to take a reasonably firm grip of the club so you can't cheat with this move. Okay, and now we want to grab the second club. So here we go into this alternate side pendulum. So the clubs are just swinging by your side here. We're in an at-ease stance with the feet. And what you're focusing on is how the twist through your upper back motivates the arm movement. So we're not looking to be rigid through the body here. It's a twist, twist. And what's really good for the proprioception in the body is to do what I call marking the club. So you're looking at the tip of the club each time it comes forwards. And then we want to do the same with the back view. So you look at the tip of the club, look at the tip of the club. And I'd normally do this for sort of 6 to 8 counts, and then go back to looking forwards again. I find by looking backwards for too long gets people dizzy sometimes. So you might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then look forwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And just remember again what I spoke about in previous lessons, that dynamic alignment through imagery. Keep projecting through to the tip of the club. So once we played with this side alternate pendulum for a while, we can move into this wood chop. So the wood chop's a great way to loosen out through the body and begin working through the hips as well. So we hinge backwards, keep looking forwards with the body, then breathe in as the clubs come above your head into the Y position, and chop down, breathing in, breathe out. So here we're stretching the shoulders, but also we really start to heat the body up. Big breath in, breathe out as you chop down. And you can do as many as you need to here, anywhere from 10 to maybe 20. So you want the breath to be nice and percussive here, remembering to breathe in through your nose if you can. You can breathe out through your nose or your mouth, but a good idea is to try to keep the tongue on the roof of your mouth. It helps to connect you to your core. Okay, and now we move into this warm-up exercise to get the knees going with a bit of a squat. So this time, every time the clubs swing forwards, we sit back into a squat. I quite like this version of squatting because the clubs work as a balance, giving you confidence to sit back more, getting into your hips and staying out of your knees. And sometimes 10 of these might be enough. Okay, that's the clubs finished with for the warm-up exercises. So we're just going to do a couple of ground stretches. When we're looking at shoulder flexibility, we really need that for club swinging. The shoulders are very much connected to the hips, so we can't ignore the hips. So we're going to come into a lunge position. Now as my knee is on the floor, I want to feel the stretch in that hip. So I push the hips forwards, lift the chest up. If you crumple or relax too much through the upper body, the stretch will go. These muscles connect right the way through your center. So you have to lift and lengthen, then push the hips forwards. Once you've connected with that stretch, you feel it here, then we start the arm circles. So you'll feel your upper arm brushing past your ear. And just like with the Y position, try to stay out of the lower back. Try to keep lifting through your chest, brushing the arm past your ear. And to link the breathing with it, it's a good idea to breathe in as the arm comes up, breathe out as the arm comes down. And then we'd want to do the same on the other side. So the knee connects down to the floor, feeling that the knee is pushing through the floor. But in contrast, the head's lengthening up, the chest is lengthening up. The hips push forwards, drop the rib cage. When you feel the stretch, you can start with the arm circles. Breathing in, then breathe out as the hand drops. And the next way to get the shoulders and hips working together is with this rocking exercise. So I sometimes call this the box position for obvious reasons. We're going to sit back a little bit, take the hands just a little further forwards, and then we just start to rock forwards and backwards. So you start loading up the wrists with your body weight, and what you'll see is that my torso is like a plank of wood, it's still, but there are these pivot points at the hips and the shoulder joints. And the hips and the shoulders are working together. And that communication between the two joints is great to start freeing the body up and building that natural connection through the body so it works as it should. This rocking is an exercise that children might do before they start crawling and then walking. It's one of those sort of primal developmental steps, and something that's quite pleasant on the body. Maybe do again 10 to 20 of these, just what feels good, tuning the body up. And then we're going to move into this baby dog stretch to really get into our shoulders. So from here you point the bottom in the air as your hands walk forwards and your forehead drops to the floor. So I'm trying to drop my ears through the arms, spread the fingers out and take big deep breaths into the stretch. Every time I let go of my breath, I try to sink a little further into the stretch. So for example, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Keep lengthening through to the tail to keep that length through your spine. And then to finish up, we can give the hips and knees a little stretch by sitting in this Japanese pose. And we pull the fingers back, so there's a lovely strong stretch in the forearms here. Keep pressing the heel of the hand away from you. And then you can roll the hand over so the palm is up, and then pull the fingers backwards for a stronger stretch in the forearm again. We do the same with the other hand, pulling the fingers back, pushing the heel of the hand forwards. Turn so the palm's up, pull the fingers backwards. And then we're good to go. Good to start swinging some clubs. So it's a routine that you can certainly spend some time working on to start with. To begin opening out through the body, oiling all up, developing the flexibility you need to swing those clubs. And as you become more and more experienced, you can start to cut out exercises that aren't working for you so much anymore for a quicker warm up so you can get into your club swinging sooner. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you for another tutorial lesson soon.